We start with some NFL rumors. Harris, is Doug Martin done in Tampa?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he is done. He just hasn't been the same player since the suspension. We're going to give that one 3 Goodell heads. Just has to be a time for them to move on. They need to remake that running game into something beautiful.
3 Goodell heads on that one. Let's get to our next rumor here. Has Mike Munchak pulled himself out of the Arizona Cardinals coaching
We're
search?
giving that 4 Goodell heads. Yes, he has declined a second interview. And Tom, we're getting closer and closer to my Jim Schwartz, the Arizona prediction. It's coming.
We'll talk more about potential candidates for the Arizona head coaching job later on in the show. Our third rumor, was Tom Cable's wife editing his Wikipedia page?
Maybe just the best story of the NFL season so far. If you haven't read the story, we're giving this one 4 Goodell heads because it's just amazing. Yes, Tom Cable's wife edited his Wikipedia
It's
page.
weird. We'll explain it all later on in the show. Next up, Todd Haley. Is he done as the Steelers' offensive coordinator?
Well, we know that Big Ben and his relationship over the past couple years has been almost irreparable, and now he is officially out as the Steelers' offensive coordinator. We're giving this one 4 Goodell heads.
All right, we'll get to our next rumor here. Is Jarvis Landry going to leave the Dolphins?
Well, he's been very, very angry with the Dolphins ownership about how they just have not been open to getting any sort of contract negotiation with him. He hasn't been getting the right offers that he's wanted. He's looking for Golden Tate style money, and they just haven't been giving it to him. We're giving it 2, though. Still a chance he comes back.
And this one coming across not that long before the start of today's show. Have the Jets fired offensive coordinator John Morton?
Why? They exceeded all expectations on offense, and Josh McCown looked like an average NFL starting quarterback. If you're an offensive coordinator and you can do that, you deserve a job. 4 Goodell heads.
We'll explain why, even though it doesn't make a ton of sense later in today's show. Plus, we've got some notable players who have declared for the NFL draft. I look at some defensive sleepers for the draft and the top 10 Super Bowls of the 2000s. All that and more coming up right now on NFL Daily.
Did you know that ticket prices can actually go down right before the game? That's where Game Time comes in. Game Time tracks ticket prices in real time from thousands of trusted sellers, then shows you all the best deals. So we can get tickets at the last minute for up to 60% off. Download Game Time now.
Hello, friends, and welcome into NFL Daily. I am Tom Downey. Alongside me is Harris Rubenstein. A great show for you guys. We're going to take a look back at some of the greatest Super Bowls of the 2000s, plus some rumors, and as teams are going to do stuff that just doesn't make sense to us.
Tom, I am so pumped to do this Super Bowl segment. I think this might be one of the top segments we've ever come up with, ranking all of them. A lot of heartbreak for a lot of franchises, a lot of glory from others. This can be a great one. Stay tuned.
All right, we'll talk some more rumors as well, but we're going to start here with some notable early NFL draft entries. The deadline was a couple days ago. Now we're going to take a look at some of the big name players who have declared. We start, of course, on offense. The 2 big LA quarterbacks, Josh Rosen, Sam Darnold, have declared. Josh Allen also going pro. Lamar Jackson in the same boat. And then Saquon Barkley, of course, the big name Penn State halfback. Who jumps out to you there, Harris?
Honestly, for me, it's more 2 guys. I think we all know that Rosen, Darnold, and Barkley are going top 4. For me, it's what's going to happen with Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson's name's been tossed around to a lot of different teams. We've heard Jaguars, maybe even the Jets. But Josh Allen, we just have no clue where he's going to go. We heard that the Browns might look at him with the #1 overall pick. We've heard a lot of different things with Allen. I think with him and Jackson, it's going to be interesting to see who gets drafted first between the 2 of them. I think it'll end up being Allen, but man, he's a Senior Bowl guy this year, right?
Yes, he is going to the Senior Bowl because he graduated, although he did declare early.
That is going to be so huge for where he ends up getting drafted. I think that might make or break whether or not he goes in the top 10.
All right, let's get to a reaction poll then. Which quarterback would you rather draft? Josh Rosen, Sam Darnold, Josh Allen, or Lamar Jackson?
This is so difficult because this is it. Josh Rosen, I think Sam Darnold has a higher ceiling than Josh Rosen does, but I think that Josh Rosen has a higher floor, which means that he's not nearly going to be as possibly bad as Sam Darnold could be. Sam Darnold could flame out and be out of the NFL in 3 years. We have no idea. But Josh Rosen's going to be a starting level NFL quarterback for, you're telling me Josh Rosen can't end up becoming like Kirk Cousins or something? I could totally see that happening. I'd take Josh Rosen, but Sam Darnold just has that potential. He could be Aaron Rodgers. We don't know.
It's weird to me. I think the assumption is, USC quarterback means that he's polished. Sam Darnold is actually very raw.
He's the complete opposite of that.
So I'm going to go with Josh Rosen because Baker Mayfield's not an option there. Again, these are only the early entry quarterbacks.
And also, wow face, Lamar Jackson on the Jaguars. Yes, please. That's another AFC Championship visit if you're the Jacksonville Jaguars and they get Lamar Jackson. Just saying. Just saying.
Let's get to some more notable offensive players who have declared early. We get to the halfbacks now. Darius Geis, Bo Scarborough, Kerryon Johnson, Ronald Jones, Josh Adams, Harris. Who jumps out to you on that list?
Ronald Jones is the one that really jumps out at me on that list. I think he's going to end up having an outstanding NFL career. I think that his college numbers are kind of deceiving. For me, he's a tape guy. If you put on his tape, you see the power, you see the speed, you see the ability and the short area quickness. And if you look at his overall stat line, he had a great year this year, but I don't know if the stats really put forward how good of a running back he is. I think he's going to end up, not next year being a starting level NFL running back, but you give him a year or two in a good offensive system, let him catch the ball out of the backfield too. I think he's great in open space. Unfortunately also, I think that Josh Adams is going to end up being a pretty big bust. I don't know how much NFL, what's the word I'm looking for, pizzazz he has in the position. I don't know if he has a certain trait that's going to really push him over the edge. We'll see, but I'm really excited to see Ronald Jones in the big leagues.
Darius Geis going to be RB2. I think with Bo Scarborough, had a lot of hype last year after that great college football playoff run. He's also going to turn 24 in his first year, so he's really old for a player.
What's going to happen with Kerryon Johnson? I can't figure out what is going to happen with him. Like, is he going to be good? Is he going to be... Could he be a Duke Johnson
He's
type
young,
of player?
which helps. I think he's going to be the type of guy that if you end up giving him reps, he's going to look pretty solid, but he might be kind of buried in a depth chart early on.
I think a NFL future for him is like a number 2 running back that's always stable, could be really good. He's not quite theoretic, but I think he's going to be good in the open field.
Let's get on now to some wide receivers here. It's an interesting class. You got Christian Kirk, Calvin Ridley, who's really by far the #1 receiver, Cortland Sutton, Auden Tate, and EQ St. Brown. Harris, overall, I strike this class as a bunch of guys who are going to be good number 2s in the NFL.
Absolutely.
But maybe not a bona fide #1 like a Mike Evans or an OBJ.
I think the only guy on here that has a chance to be the bona fide #1 is Cortland Sutton. He has the size, has the speed, has the ability.
Super raw.
He's super raw, but if you put him on the right team, don't send him to the Baltimore Ravens. Everyone's backing him to the Ravens. He's going to go to the Ravens and be the same thing as Brashad Perriman. Send him to a team that's actually going to – I would love to see him on the Saints opposite Michael Thomas. I think that could be a great combo on the outside. There could be a couple options. He probably won't be there because they're not going to take a wide receiver in the first round. But I think more of a spread option with a good #1 that's a little more of a possession guy could be great for a team for him.
Sutton, Tate, and EQ St. Brown both. It is pronounced Equinemius St. Brown, but EQ is so much easier.
EQ is way more fun, too. I like that.
Let's get to some offensive linemen. Some notable players going earlier this year. There's Orlando Brown, the mountain of man from Oklahoma, Connor Williams, Quentin Nelson, who was a redshirt junior at Notre Dame, which for Notre Dame basically means you're a senior because they don't redshirt, but they do redshirt. It's really weird because the Fighting Irish do things differently. Colton Miller out of UCLA, I've heard some good things about when I watched all but 2 games here of Josh Rosen already. He didn't stand out to me. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. If me not noticing him meant he was doing his job or that he wasn't making a bunch of impact plays. I don't know which one is which.
I have no idea either, but I will say this. Quentin Nelson is so much fun to watch because not only does he finish blocks, he'll like choke slam someone into the ground just because he can. I love Quentin Nelson. I think he's going to be one of the best guards in football.
Then Brown is a pretty good athlete from Pitt. He had a couple fat guy touchdowns this year. He's a guy to watch as well. Let's get to the defensive players here now. Deron Payne was going to be a possible sleeper. Then he lit up everyone in the CFP Championship, so he's not an option there. Vita Vea is my early draft crush. Hercules Mataf out of Washington State, also a really good player. I like him a lot. I don't know what he is in the NFL because he's really undersized, plays no guard. I think in the end he's an edge guy. Arden Key, Jeff Holland are going to be interesting players as well.
I think that Hercules Mataafa is going to end up being like a DeForest Buckner style guy that if you put him in a 3-4, he can rush from the inside. But if you put him in a 4-3, he might be an edge guy. I think he's going to combo into different places. I think you're going to be able to put him in a lot of different spaces along that defensive line. He's never going to have one position that he's fantastic at, but I think he's going to be a great versatile piece. I don't know if he's a first-round pick, maybe late second, but you put him on a team with a great defensive coordinator, maybe someone like on the Panthers or something like that. He could be a great rotating end for them.
And some more defensive players. Sam Hubbard, Dorrance Armstrong, who I like, was great last year, didn't make the same impact this year. Everyone loves Roquan Smith, of course, but there's also Malik Jefferson and Tremaine Edmonds, a pair of linebackers who I like.
My draft. You have Vita Vea. I have Malik Jefferson. I think he's such a special playmaker. I think he has so many. His instincts are off the charts in terms of him being able to play the linebacker position. I think he got caught up in a linebacker or in a Texas defense that just didn't end up being any good. But he stands out whenever you watch them.
He has great athleticism, and I think maybe I do have to watch some more film. I think you might be confusing great athlete for instincts.
That's true, but at the same time, one can make up for the other, and I believe that he does also have a high football IQ. He isn't as fast as Ryan Shazier, but I think that Malik Jefferson with the right coaching could end up in that same kind of veil of Ryan Shazier.
How about some defensive backs then? Josh Jackson, the lanky ball skills corner. Holton Hill, who's talented, has some off-the-field concerns. Tavares McFadden was supposed to be a first-round pick, had a rough year for FSU.
Bad.
He dropped down boards. Denzel Ward is undersized, but a really good corner. And, of course, Minkah Fitzpatrick.
And you know what? I think it's now time, Tom. We have found our comp for Minkah Fitzpatrick. Can we say it? Is it time?
It's based on what we saw in the championship game, because you and I both had the same thought independently, actually.
Yes. Minkah Fitzpatrick's NFL comp is Harrison Smith of the Minnesota Vikings. Not rookie year Harrison Smith. This year, Harrison Smith.
In terms of play style.
Yes, where he can blitz off the edge, he can play in the box, he can play a little deep if you need him to. The one thing that Minkah Fitzpatrick brings to the table, he can cover people on the outside as well. Don't put him on a speed guy. I don't think he is that kind of a hit movement. But if you put him on a larger wide receiver on the outside, if he goes to an AFC East team, for instance, if you have him cover like a Devontae Parker or Robbie Anderson, that is the kind of guy he can cover. But he can't cover a Jarvis Landry.
Yeah, you don't want him on a Landry or even a Deshaun Jackson, a big deep threat. He played all. And I was at the championship game. He was lined up everywhere. He lined up when the Bama went to their big nickel with 3 safeties. He was almost an edge rusher or a linebacker. He played strong. He played some safety. He was what Harrison Smith did this year for Minnesota.
There was a really interesting combination I was reading before that if you took Eddie Jackson of the Chicago Bears and combined him with Marlon Humphrey on the Baltimore Ravens and put him into one player, you get Minkah Fitzpatrick.
That's fair. All right, one more notable players list here. Deshaun Elliott, who I like a lot from Texas. Ronnie Harrison. Derwin James, who was kind of positionless. And there are some special teams guys who declared early.
Eddie!
Michael Dixon, the punter, and Eddie Pinheiro, kicker. You are people after all.
Eddie Pinheiro is going to be an amazing NFL kicker if I have to go teach him kicking myself. Get this man a kicking coach like the Ravens did with Justin Tucker. He's so good. He's everything Aguayo is supposed to be.
I actually don't mind guys, kickers and punters turning pro early because if you've graduated, well, what have you left to prove? You can either kick or you can't.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what it is. You can't improve your stock as a kicker. Like, you just are what you are.
That's great.
All right, folks, today's show is brought to you by the Game Time app. If you need last-minute sports or concert tickets, get the Game Time app at chatsports.com/tickets. Harris, I used it for a Dallas Stars game. I got my tickets for $20. I went up and saw, okay, well, what are the scalpers selling them for? $50.
Come on, Stars game?
Come on.
This isn't the Vegas Golden Knights.
Game Time putting you out of business.
Yeah, seriously. Look, I've been using, this is now multiple cities, LA, Boston, and Dallas. I have used this app in. It is fantastic in all of them. No matter what the prices are, tickets are always lower on Game Time. It's the only app you need.
All right, chatsports.com/tickets. All right, folks, let's get into some rumors from around the NFL, some good ones and some head-scratching ones as well. We will start down in Tampa Bay, where the report is that there is, quote, no chance that Doug Martin returns to the Bucs. Harris giving this one 3 stars because I think there is a chance that he does come back, but it's highly unlikely. So the rumor itself, pretty likely.
There is a very, very, very small chance that he comes back. But I'll put it this way, and this is kind of something that I argue with him. Who would you rather have, Doug Martin or Isaiah Crowell?
Ooh. They were both not good this year.
That's my point right there. If you have to discuss whether or not you would want, if it's that difficult of a decision to make, that shows you how far Doug Martin has fallen. But
I like Crowell a lot entering this year.
But look what happened. I think that Doug Martin leaving the Bucs, it needs to happen. I think both of them need a change of scenery. I think the Bucs need a new running back. Darius Geis would actually be really fun on that team, as would a lot of other different guys. I think it's time for him to go. In terms of no chance he comes back, I think 3 heads is the way to go.
All right, from perhaps wondering what the heads mean, here is our explainer here for NFL Rumors Roundup. If you see no Goodell heads, means it's fake news, the report rumor totally inaccurate. If you see 1 Goodell head, means there's a small shred of truth. It could be true, but it's probably not. It's don't buy it. 2 Goodell heads means it's firmly in the rumor category. People are talking, but it could go either way.
Yep.
3 Goodell heads means that it's more probable than not. It's pretty likely, but there is some room for things to change.
No comment.
Yeah, there you go. 4 Goodell heads means it is fact news, not fake news. It is 100% going to happen. It's going to happen.
Fact.
Let's get into some more rumors then. Mike Munchak, he is out of the Cardinals head coaching search.
Ooh, Tom, you're getting closer and closer to having run around the WeWork offices naked. The Jim Schwartz train is coming to Arizona. I will love this hire, by the way. I think Mike Munchak deserves another chance. I think that he's a guy that you don't want on a developing roster, but if the roster already has good enough players, I think that's where he can come in and stabilize. When he was with the Tennessee Titans, him trying to grow that franchise, it never worked out. That's not the kind of coach he is, but I think if the Arizona Cardinals get a good quarterback along with a good head coach, they could end up being a wild card team next year if certain things fall their way. But I'm kind of happy he's not saying. I'm kind of happy he's saying no. I think it might not be the best place for him, but it's Jim Schwartz time, I'm telling you.
All right, well, 3 coaches already have second interviews scheduled with the Cardinals. John DeFilippo, Brian Flores of the Patriots. I'm curious what you think of him, Harrison.
Yeah.
Second, Keith Armstrong as well. Steve Wilkes has been a candidate for almost every job, in part to fulfill the Rooney Rule.
So, not claiming to be the Patriots insider here, but I will say this. Bill Belichick loves Brian Flores.
Okay.
He's been really mentoring him to become the defensive coordinator once Matt Patricia left. This has been a pretty solely obvious thing inside of New England and outside. I will say this. If Brian Flores does get signed by the Cardinals, New England would become the first NFL team to lose 3 assistant coaches to head coaching jobs in the same offseason, which is just a wild statistic. I think it'd be crazy to go from linebackers coach to NFL head coach in 1 year, but do you know what this might be? This might be like the Matt Rule thing that we saw, where he's not going to get a head coaching job this year, but this is how
he's
you
networking.
Exactly. This is how you get your name in the circles. This is how you get your name mentioned. Oh, he's gotten head coaching interviews before. Oh, people are looking at him.
Yep.
That's a good job by his agent getting him some interviews.
All right, so keep those votes flowing, folks, as now we get to one of the stranger rumors I think we've ever had on NFL Daily before, that Tom Cable's wife is editing his Wikipedia page. We're giving this one 4 Goodell heads because this happened. His wife admitted it. Carol admitted it. It's really, really weird because Cable, what she was doing is she was editing out the violence allegations against Tom Cable. Cable in the past has been accused of A, breaking the jaw of a Raiders assistant coach when he was the head coach. He'd been accused of domestic violence by an ex-wife and an ex-girlfriend. And the Wall Street Journal got a hold of Cable's wife and was like, hey, what's going on here? So again, we're giving this one 4 good odds because it's fact news. This happened. She admitted to it. She said that we weren't trying to hide anything, but we lived through the false allegations. There was no documentation to back it up. It was false. Now, the NFL never disciplined Cable for anything. It is worth mentioning that Cable stated through his legal team that he had once touched a woman inappropriately and had become very angry and slapped his ex-wife, Sandy, which would strike me as documentation to back it up, for starters. This is one of the weirdest things ever. And when Al Davis fired Tom Cable, he was super angry because he had even like, hey, is there any other stuff that's going on there? Because we just had the incident with you and your assistant coach. And Cable's like, nah, there's nothing. And then the whole ex-wife and domestic violence stuff came out. So this is just so weird.
What's even funny, what even makes it get even worse is that his agent had to come out and say, I stand by my client Tom Cable and his wife in regard to these unfounded allegations. He was never charged, and therefore it doesn't seem to have merit to be on his Wikipedia page. He's been accused by 3 separate people of some sort of assault, and it doesn't have
it's weird.
It has no merit?
It's very weird.
What?
So that one is 4 Goodell heads because his wife was editing his Wikipedia page to try and hide
One
it.
more thing, let's bring this to real life for a second. Can you imagine physically doing that? Like, as a human being, going into your husband's Wikipedia page to delete assault allegations by 3 separate people. You have to sit down at a computer, log into Wikipedia, and edit his page to get rid of that. That is shenanigans.
She also, by the way, did it with a username that was very clearly hers. It was like CCable53 or something.
God.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Let's get into some more rumors here. This one kind of more on the news side. Todd Haley. He is out as the Steelers' offensive coordinator.
Long time coming. I mean, him and Big Ben just never got along. And we actually talked about this in the office that, you know, what exactly did he bring that was special? He didn't really bring a lot to, not that he didn't bring a lot to the table, but when you have Big Ben, Antonio Brown, Martavis Bryant, and Le'Veon Bell, it's kind of difficult to mess up as an offensive coordinator. So, personally, I think it's the right move. It was time to move on. They're bringing their quarterbacks coach to be the offensive coordinator in a clear sign that they took Big Ben's side, but Todd Haley will find a landing spot for sure.
Harris, you think the Steelers made the right choice in dumping Todd Haley?
I'm giving this one a heart. Absolutely. Not that he's a bad offensive coordinator, but look, you only have maybe 2 years, maybe 3 years left with Big Ben. And I'm sorry, Todd Haley is not a good enough offensive coordinator for me to want to risk angering and disappointing my franchise quarterback more than I already have with what's going on with him and Mike Tomlin. I think this is a good way to remind him that the franchise is behind him and he needs to stop calling out his head coach on radio shows.
Let's get to some more rumors then. This one, could Jarvis Landry leave the Dolphins?
Dumb.
This has been bubbling for a little bit because we're giving it to Goodell heads because it's kind of 50-50, but Jarvis Landry told Miami Herald that the negotiations have been handled a bit disrespectfully.
Yeah, they've treated him like crap. He's like, look, I'm breaking records for receptions. I know his yards have been low. He did have a great season this year in terms of touchdowns. His red zone efficiency was way up this year, which is great. But his total yards was low because that's just how they use him in the offense. But can you imagine this Dolphins offense without Jarvis Landry? Can you imagine if Devontae Parker is the go-to option on this football team? It's a disaster. I think he should leave. Go get your money. Go to Chicago's going to certainly pay you. So leave.
Landry has said he wants to stay with Miami, but he's also made it very clear that he wants to get paid. So the Dolphins made an offer to Landry's agent in early December. In mid-December, the agent countered with an offer. The Dolphins haven't responded yet. I think there's some notable difference here between the two sides. Jarvis Landry wants a Devontae Adams-type contract.
He does want a Devontae Adams-type contract. I think a money or a contract that is a little bit more kind of to what he might end up getting. If you go back and saw what Golden Tate got, he got a 5-year, $31 million contract with the Detroit Lions back in 2014. So if you 2017-ify that contract, it comes out to about 5 years, $40 million a year. That's about what it comes out to in this year's salary cap with the amount of inflation and what wide receivers are getting paid. So I don't think that's a terrible contract. I certainly wouldn't pay him that. But again, what are they going to do without him? Like, I'm sorry, Kenyon Drake is not a good enough player on offense that you don't need Jarvis Landry anymore. Devontae Parker has been a total bust as a first-round pick so far. They had to get rid of Julius Thomas because he got too fat. Like, this is the problem with the Dolphins. They have something good. They won't pay him. I think he should leave. Go get your money.
All right, one more rumor here for you. This one was actually just confirmed by the team about a minute ago. The Jets have fired OC John Morton after his first year. Harris, we don't know why.
Why?
We don't understand why, I should say.
I don't get it. He's turned an undrafted free agent, Robbie Anderson, into a borderline #1 NFL wide receiver. He actually turned a running game of Matt Forte, Elijah McGuire, and Bilal Powell into something half decent. And good God almighty, Josh McCown was a top 15 quarterback this year. I don't think you can really dispute that. He was fantastic. I can't believe that they're getting rid of this guy. He was rumored a couple weeks ago to have been hired by John Gruden to go to the Raiders. So I just don't really understand what the Jets' point is here. Are you really going to find an offensive coordinator in the market that's better than him? Do they want Todd Haley maybe? Maybe that is what they're reaching for? I'm not really sure what the point is here, but I think John Morton has a bright future in this league. I think he's going to get picked up by someone. He's going to do a great job.
All right. What's some of the rationale here, allegedly wise, that he and head coach Todd Bowles didn't always get along, and that some of the players felt that it was trying to be too much like the Saints offense where he came from.
You know what? And I could see that. And, it's very difficult if he's going against Todd Bowles because the Jets players love Todd Bowles. So much so that Sheldon Richardson got traded from the Seahawks and wants to come back to the Jets because of Todd Bowles. So if that is true and they were actually kind of butting heads, then that makes sense. But at the same time, sometimes you need to prioritize the football team over head coach relationship. I mean, if the offense is working under him and you just need to give him more weapons, then do so. I mean, if the Steelers were able to get 6 years out of Todd Haley after him and Big Ben have been nipping at each other for however long, then they can deal with John Morton and Bowles not always getting along. I don't really agree with this, but this is so typical Jets, isn't it? I expect nothing less than the Jets have a good offensive season and fire their offensive coordinator. What a Jets thing to do.
I would not be surprised if Morton gets interest very quickly.
Oh,
he has
absolutely.
a background in a receivers coach as well. Worst case, he'll end up getting that job.
100%.
All right, folks. I want to remind you that today's show is brought to you by the Game Time app. If you need last-minute sports or concert tickets, you got to get the Game Time app at chatsports.com/tickets. Harris, I know that you're a big fan.
I'm a huge fan. I've had this app for, God, how long has it been now? At least 3 years, if not 4, maybe even 5. I'm not even sure. I've had this app for so long, it's just kind of a part of my phone now. Like every single time I get a new phone, I just re-download the Game Time app because I know that their tickets are the best prices. The app, the display is fantastic. The ratings and reviews are great. And also, by the way, in a time where the internet is not always safe, your credit card information and your money is safe with Game Time. It's always handled with care.
All right, and I mentioned this earlier in the show. I went to a Stars game. The Game Time had ticket prices for $20. The scalpers are selling them for $50.
Yeah, who wants to deal
save
with
money that way,
scalpers?
man?
Come
Just
on.
save money that way.
Just use PayPal. Use Game Time. It's way easier.
Game Time is the way to go, folks. Chatsports.com/tickets. It's the only app you need for your sports folder right next to the Chat Sports app.
Absolutely.
As well. All right, we'll talk some more NFL draft now, Harris. We're looking to do some NFL draft sleepers.
Yeah.
And when we use the term sleepers, we're not focusing just on guys that no one's heard of. This is kind of more focused early in the process on guys that you're going to hear a lot more about as we go along with this NFL draft process. Guys that maybe you haven't heard of right now, but you're going to hear a lot about as we continue along.
Yeah, and mind you, for everyone at home, as we get closer and closer to the draft, we will update these draft sleepers because a lot of these names are going to get more popular. So once the combine comes around, we'll have different draft sleepers. So this isn't the only draft sleepers that Chat Sports is going to show. We'll have plenty more.
Of guys. So we're going to start with a Florida defensive lineman, Taven Bryan. Watch some of his film. Disruptive is the best way to describe him, Harris.
Disruptive for sure, and it's difficult to also kind of honor him because this Florida Gators defense that he was on was just terrible. It was absolutely awful. So the great thing about him is that when you're trying to watch your defensive line, he jumps right off the screen. I'm interested to see if he'll be able to rush the passer effectively in the NFL. I think he's going to be an outstanding run stopper. I think this is going to be one of the better run stopping DNs that's going to come out of this draft. The sacks were very low this year, only 4. He did have a sack and a half against Texas A&M, but you cannot deny what this guy's going to be able to do in the run game. I think he's also going to add maybe about 10 more pounds, so maybe about 6'4", 305 as an NFL DN. I think he's going to be a really good guy in a 3-4.
If you're on draft Twitter, you've heard a little bit about Bryan right now. I think there's a real chance he sneaks into the late first round, especially if you see guys like Maurice Hurst and Vita Vea go early. Christian Wilkins going back, I think, helps Bryan get into that first round discussion.
Still very surprised, but if all the Clemson guys are going back, I mean, hey, why not? They want that championship.
So Taven Bryan there is the first one here on our list. We'll get to our next one here. We'll get to an edge guy about Marcus Davenport from UTSA. He is a fascinating prospect for me, Harris.
So raw, but at the same time, if you can mold that raw piece of clay into something, he can end up being an Everson Griffin type of pass rusher. That's the size and the strength that I think he has. Great off the edge, 8.5 sacks, 17.5 tackles for loss this year. Obviously not in the best conference with playing for UTSA, but I think he's going to be a really special player. I don't think he's going to break the first round. I think he's going to be drafted in the second round and like maybe pick what is going to be like 33 through 37 will kind of be where he ends up. I think he's going to be great nonetheless. Think of where Yannick Ngakoue got picked. That's where Davenport's going to get picked.
I think he's got that ability to be an edge rusher. I think there's a real chance that he sneaks into the first round. Because he's long, he's lanky, but he's actually got some pretty good bend to him. Like he's able to get around the edge. I watched the North Texas game. Was pretty interesting for me to see that he didn't really have a lot of pass rushing moves. I think he's very raw as a prospect right now, which makes sense. He's from UTSA. Like,
he needs more moves. He needs a couple more moves, I think.
All right, we'll get to another player here. Linebacker Leighton Vander Esch. Harrison, I know that you're a big fan.
I am a big fan of him, but I'm also a little bit worried that he might have already played his best football season, and I'm not really sure. Because think about it, the year before his sophomore year, he didn't play that much, but when he played, he wasn't that good. Then this year, he starts as a junior, and it was fantastic. He was all over the place. He jumps off the 141 tackles this year for him, along with 8.5 tackles for loss. I like how he's able to cover, though, out of the backfield. Don't let his size deceive you. 6'3", 240, but he has a certain quickness to him that he can cover running backs out of the backfield, and I think that's where his strength is going to end up lying. I don't think the combine is going to do him a lot of justice because I don't think he's an outstanding athlete. I think he's a better football player than he is athlete, so I think it's going to drop him to the middle to the end of the second round. But if they do, whoever does get him is going to get a great rotational linebacker and a really, really good special teamer. I think that Leighton Vander Esch is going to be a really nice player for anyone to pick up.
I think he goes round 2, round 3. He was a tackling machine this year for Boise State. That's just what he was. He was all over the field.
Big fundamentals guy.
Yeah, look, he's got solid size. size there with Van Der Esch. I think this is another example of a name that isn't going to end up come draft time as a sleeper. But when it's all, but right now, he's a guy that's going to continue to rise and is going to get more name as we go through the Senior Bowl, as we go through the draft process. So a sleeper as we stand right now, because he's not a Roquan Smith, which everyone knows, but he's going to end up being a very highly touted prospect, I think.
Yeah, and again, it's all about measuring your expectations with him. He's not, like you said, he's not Malik Jefferson, he's not Roquan Smith, but at the same time, if your team drafts him and you kind of see him on your little draft list, just know you got a nice player to add to your defense.
All right, so Leighton Vander Esch there is our linebacker sleeper as we said. Let's get to cornerback then. A lot of different options here. I think a guy like Quentin Meeks, who maybe doesn't have the stats that jump out for you, but that's because teams didn't like throwing at him.
No, and honestly for him, it's all about the size. 6'1", 205 is
NFL size.
Exactly. It's exactly where NFL defenses are trending. They're trending to bigger corners on the outside. We saw Marshawn Lattimore and Ken Crawley with the Saints this year. So Quentin Meeks is going to end up going, I really do think this. I think he's going to get reached and maybe picked at the end of round 1. He's going to have a fantastic combine. I think he's a really, really good athlete. But at the same time, I'm a little bit iffy based off of what he's going to be able to do against faster corners in the NFL. The combine for me is going to be huge for where he ends up going in this draft. If he blows away and has a really good 40 time, then I could see him actually picking it up. I also want to see what he comes out with the 3-cone, but he's got the size and he's definitely got the ability to tackle. He is a physical guy in the run game, and that's huge in the NFL today.
You see his best game versus Oregon, the 1 tackle, 1 INT. Oregon had nothing going on offense.
No, they did not.
Now, they only threw a handful of passes. One of them was picked off by Meeks.
There you go.
All right, so Meeks there is your sleeper at corner. At safety, one of the guys that I like quite a bit here is Jordan Whitehead for Pittsburgh. He reminds me of a poor man's Jabril Peppers, especially with the way that Pitt used him. He's undersized at 5'10", 190. Peppers ended up not being all that big for Michigan, but he was a return guy. He also got some work as a Wildcat halfback for Pitt, too.
And you know what? One of the big things about him, I'm going to give him this plus. People might not. He is from Aliquippa, Pennsylvania, or Aliquippa, excuse me. One of the best single talents that have produced professional talent ever. I'm talking Darrelle Revis, Ty Law, Paul Posluszny. Oh, yeah, Pistol Pete Maravich also came from this town. Mike Ditka, Tony Dorsett, Tito Francona as well. So many people have come from this town. I think he might be next up on that one. Good late-round pick for anyone looking to bring up a safety. He's not quite Carl Joseph. Carl Joseph is a way better athlete than he is.
Way stronger hitter, too.
Exactly. I think he's a little bit more of a deep guy. We'll see with him. I'm interested to see what the combine does for him.
So once again there, your recap here. Taven Bryan, Marcus Davenport, Leighton Vander Esch, Quentin Meeks, and Jordan Whitehead, a big fan of mine. Once again, folks, I'm Tom Downey. Alongside me is Harris Rubenstein. We just took you through some draft sleepers. We showed you some rumors and quite a bit of other stuff as well. We'll talk Super Bowls now, Harris.
I want to talk Super Bowls. I'm so excited.
And I want to remind you that today's show is also brought to you by the Game Time app. If you need last-minute sports or concert tickets, you got to get the Game Time app at chatsports.com/tickets, up to 60% off compared to the other ticketing prices and apps out there.
I don't even know why you would ever try to download another ticketing app. Like, if you have this one, you will never need another. Again, I've had this for multiple years. I've never needed anything else. It's perfect.
All right, folks, let's get you to the top 10 Super Bowls of the 2000s. Yes. That's what we got here coming up for you right now. And we will start here at number 10. These were just some great games here. We start about Super Bowl 46, Giants-Patriots. Harris, you love this one, right, buddy?
Oh, I love this Super Bowl. I don't. It actually made me perennially despise Ahmad Bradshaw until he came back with the Colts. But, look, this 2011 Super Bowl is actually a really entertaining one. I think kind of, you know, we always look at the 2007 one between the Patriots and the Giants, and this one minorly gets forgotten, but this was actually the game where Eli Manning played really well. This was his better Super Bowl. He went 30-40 for 300 yards and a touchdown, and that throw to Mario Manningham, which wasn't a fluke like the David Tyree catch. That was just a fantastic catch and throw from Manning and Manningham. There's nothing the Patriots defense could do there. That was actually one of Brady's. I was at that Super Bowl. That was one of Brady's worst playoff games I ever saw him in. He never looked more uncomfortable than he did in that game. 27-41, 276 and 2 TDs. Now, there obviously is a scale when it comes to bad Tom Brady playoff games, but I was there. I was at that game. I didn't cry like I did in 2007 when they lost.
Oh, my God.
but 2011 was an entertaining Super Bowl nonetheless.
We'll get to that later.
I was 11 in 2007.
Hey, some great flashback names on here as well. You got Danny Woodhead with the Patriots.
Yes.
Aaron Hernandez before it turned out he was a murderer. Giants have Ahmad Bradshaw and Hakeem Nicks still. That's way back, man.
Dude, Hakeem Nicks with his massive hands, who somehow after this season could never catch another ball.
Right. Super Bowl 46 there checks in at number 10 of our top 10 Super Bowls in the 2000s. Let's get now to number 9. We'll take you to Miami, Florida. In 2010, you're at number 9. How about the Saints and the Colts? Full of truly incredible plays. Namely here, we'll get to that video here in just a second as well. Once again, I'm Tom Downey. Alongside me is Harris Rubenstein. Let's get to that highlight here now for you. The Colts and the Saints in this one. This was maybe best known for the onside kick play.
It was known for the onside kick play, but do you know what it's best known for me, Tom? It's best known for this is where Drew Brees finally got the Super Bowl he always deserved. I'm happy that he will go down in history with at least one Super Bowl. And mind you, he was also actually really good in this one. It was a pretty typical Drew Brees game, 32 of 39, 300 yards and a touchdown. He did his usual efficiency. This is back in the days of Pierre Thomas and Marquise Colston. Where did Marquise Colston go to college, by the way?
Hofstra?
Hofstra is
there
correct.
We go.
Good job,
Great
Tom.
man.
It was also one of Joseph Adai, the old-time great Colts running back that gets forgotten a lot because of Edgar and James.
I don't know about great.
He had a lot of fantastic years, and yes, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, that is the same Pierre Garçon. That is the same one, and he might be better now than he used to be. So
fair.
It's good to see him on that list.
Tracy Porter had that huge pick six,
yeah.
which you just saw. That was a truly game-changing play in that one. Brees was great. The Saints won that one. That was in 2010.
The great thing about that interception also, we were right in the middle of the classic Peyton Manning fourth quarter comeback drive, and Tracy Porter just stopped it dead in its tracks.
Tracy Porter never been close to that same player again. Did not do great with the Bears in his last stop.
Not great.
Let's take you to number 8, and we'll go to 2013. I think this one is very remembered by quite a few different people out there because it's the Blackout Bowl.
Yeah,
remember that? The power just goes out mid-game.
The great thing about the Blackout Bowl is that the Ravens were so freaking good before the blackout, and then the blackout ended, and the 49ers went on like a 23-6 run and almost came back to win the game if it wasn't for a 4th and goal stop on one of the worst goal line fades you will ever see thrown by Colin Kaepernick to Michael Crabtree. I think we'll actually have it on the highlight here. I remember this was the Jacoby Jones season where he had the greatest season of his career. But yeah, this is my favorite play from the Super Bowl. Just the worst end zone fade attempt ever.
I hated that play call. First off, terrible throw. I don't know if 4th and 2 you want to run the fade route.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a time to run the fade.
And it was also great about this game is that once the Ravens had that huge lead, they just gave the ball to Ray Rice and kind of forgot, oh yeah, the 49ers have an amazing, that was in the times of the Justin Smith and back when they had both Navarro Bowman. Was Patrick Willis on that team?
Yes, he was.
Yes, he was. So that was back when the run stopped.
This was right before all the Niners players retired.
Yeah, 30 carries for 59 yards to show you what happened. But man, that was Joe Flacco's peak, and as we have pointed out many times here on NFL Daily, he is no longer that same Joe Flacco.
All right, that was number 8. Let's get then to number 7. More Patriots as, well, they frequent quite a few on these here. 2015, Patriots and the Seahawks, best known as when they didn't give it to Marshawn Lynch.
Yeah, and they still should have given it to Marshawn Lynch. What is it with teams and going up against the Patriots and not running the ball against them? I don't really understand. I hope the Jaguars do it this weekend so we can finally see what happens. But I'll never forget this, Tom. You know, we talked a lot about this week with the whole Stephon Diggs play, and a lot of people have asked me what my favorite Super Bowl win was for the Patriots. It will always be this one because the Malcolm Butler interception will forever be one of the most exciting things to have ever happened to me. Comeback was fantastic this year, but that single play, the euphoria after that, I have to imagine it was what the Vikings fans felt when Stephon Diggs got that touchdown. Just, you experience so few things like that.
It's fair to question whether the Seahawks ever truly recovered from that play.
I don't think they did. Yeah. I mean, it's still wild. It's still wild to me that out of that fantastic Seahawks run that they had, only one Super Bowl. I know, obviously, only is saying something because a lot of franchises don't even have one, but only one for them will still always be surprising for me.
I think it's fair to question Seattle's future because they've recently hired Ken Norton Jr. as the DC and Brian Schottenheimer as the OC because reasons.
Brian Schottenheimer.
Yeah,
oh,
I
God.
know. All right, there. So Patriots Seahawks in Super Bowl 49 checks in at number 7. Let's get then to number 6 on our top Super Bowls of the 2000s. More Patriots here coming at you. Patriots and the Panthers.
The great forgotten Super Bowl of the 2000s. This was one of the greatest football games ever played. They had so many touchdowns back and forth throughout this entire thing. It was like 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Like 3 touchdowns were interchanged between the two teams. And then Adam Vinatieri kicks his second game-winning field goal in a Super Bowl for the second time in 3 years. I'll never forget this game. Steve Smith was fantastic in this one. Mushi Muhammad was great in this one as well. And it was the last great game that we had with Deion Branch and Antoine Smith on that Patriots team. Never forget Antoine Smith. Never forget him. He won 2 Super Bowls. He was so good.
Jake Delhomme was great in that game, as was Tom Brady. And maybe we would have remembered Delhomme's career a bit differently had the Panthers been able to win that game.
One other thing I wanted to point out, because I think people forget about this, never really brought up as one of the great postseason performers of all time, but you can make an argument that Deion Branch should have won MVP for this one. They gave it to him in 2004, but 10 catches, 143 yards, and a touchdown. Back-to-back years, he had amazing Super Bowls. So just saying, don't forget about Deion Branch for a great postseason performance.
Right, that was number 6. Let's get then to number 5 on our Super Bowls of the best Super Bowls of the 2000s. We'll go to 2000 itself, Harris. Super Bowl 34, Rams-Titans. Kevin Dyson was so close to scoring.
So close.
That is what everyone remembers from this play.
When you asked me to cut this highlight tape, I kept looking up, saying,
"Oh,
which I knew." I was like, "I'm just going to put this."
That's the only play you need. That's the only play anyone remembers from this game.
It's so sad also because it stopped Steve McNair from having a touchdown in this game, but I think it also kind of hurt his legacy in a lot of ways.
Fair.
I think that if he won the Super Bowl, he would have most likely been MVP unless they gave it to Eddie George. But look, if Steve McNair has both the Super Bowl MVP and a championship win, I think he's an absolute 100% surefire Hall of Famer. Without that, though, it's kind of difficult. We'll see how long it takes for Steve McNair to get in there, but Kurt Warner.
Isaac Bruce, Torrey Holt.
I love those teams. Those Madden teams with those Rams were so much fun. Bruce and Holt were amazing.
This game was always weird for me to go back and look at the box where you see 400 yards for the quarterback and they had 23 points. Like, how did they not score more? That's what I'm always thought of. All right, I saw this one in the comments earlier. Let's get to it now. Number 4 on our list, Super Bowl 43, Steelers-Cardinals. The catch by Santonio Holmes, one of the best plays in NFL history.
One of the best plays in NFL history and easily the best play in his career. But again, another Super Bowl where what would have happened if the Cardinals won? Because this was Larry Fitzgerald's time. 7 catches, 127 yards, and 2 TDs. But James Harrison decided to return an interception 99 yards for a touchdown in just one of the great, again, another great play in NFL history. Just this huge, massive man, and Larry Fitzgerald just not being able to pull him down at the last second. But I loved this Super Bowl. I think it was one of the better ones. Thank you, by the way, for not including the worst refed Super Bowl in Super Bowl history with the Steelers and the Seahawks. Worst refed game maybe ever. So I'm happy that we got the good Steelers Super Bowl in here at least.
Yeah, this was a great game for Pittsburgh, and a back and forth game to be sure. It kind of felt like for a while the Cardinals were going to totally win that game, and then Big Ben showed up.
And that's another thing that I keep talking about things people forget. Big Ben has 2 Super Bowl rings, and in both of those Super Bowls, he was great. I understand he only had 256 and that 1 interception, but 21 of 30 against that Cardinals defense, which at the time was very, very good, was a huge accomplishment for him.
All right, Super Bowl 43 there. Cardinals and the Steelers. Let's get now into our top 3. And at number 3, another Patriots one here for you, Harris. Patriots and the Rams. Get used to Patriots Super Bowls here to round out the top 3.
You know what? For me, I think as a game, this has so much respect behind it because you have to remember, going into this season, the Patriots were supposed to be nowhere near the Super Bowl. In fact, if you look at how their season started, they didn't actually start off that well. They were a 500 football team through about the first 8 games of the season and then went just on a miraculous run to win the AFC East and get into the playoffs. But look, this was one of the ultimate underdog stories of sports, and it spawned one of the great franchises in the history of athletics. This is where we saw Tom Brady get his start. He made his first ever fantastic late game charge to win a game. That drive at the end of the game where John Madden says they should have just taken a knee away for overtime. No, sir. And touchdown Tom came to play. And it's also started the legend of Hall of Fame kicker Adam Vinatieri.
Troy Brown was a big factor in this game, too.
Troy Brown, the ultimate wide receiver cornerback combo player. We'll go down in history as one of the great versatile NFL players of all time.
Still Deion Sanders, and well, I guess maybe that's cornerback wide receiver.
Yes, he's the wide receiver cornerback. Yeah, you got it.
Okay, that's fair. All right, so the Patriots-Rams, Super Bowl 36 checks in at number 3. Let's get then to number 2. It's the most recent one. Patriots-Falcons 28-3, the blown lead. Harris, I'm sure you remember this one fondly.
Tom, was this the greatest comeback in sports history?
It's a fair question to ask. Maybe.
Maybe only the Warriors blowing a 3-1 lead at home, the NBA Finals. That's also
there was a soccer one in the same year that I can't remember, but that was from this same year that I can't remember what it was, but it was also a huge comeback.
I really do believe though that when Tom Brady's career eventually ends and we think about what was his iconic Super Bowl, I think this was it. Because going into the second half, you have to remember, he threw his first ever postseason pick 6 right before the end of the first half and came out in the second half, a man possessed, a 39-year-old quarterback in his 6th Super Bowl at that point, threw the ball 62 times.
Just kind of unreal to think about.
62 times. And also, mind you, he looked like he was the least tired person on that entire football field. So I think when we go back, this will be the Super Bowl we remember him for. One more thing, though, Tom. We will never have a better Matt Ryan season. He peaked last year.
He did.
And that was his only chance to ever win a Super Bowl.
All right, but last year's is not number 1 on our list. We'll take you to number 1, Super Bowl 42.
Yep.
The undefeated Patriots get stunned by the Giants.
Oh, goodness. The only thing I remember from this game, not the David Tyree catch. No, it is Ellis Hobbs getting whipped at the line of scrimmage by Plexico Burress. Never before have I seen a corner get so badly whipped off the line. The biggest moment of his life get absolutely destroyed. Obviously,
but it's still the Tyree catch. Dude.
Yeah, no, the Tyree catch was, and it's kind of a shame.
That's one of, if not the greatest catch in NFL history.
It was, and it kind of tarnished Rodney Harrison's Patriot career. A lot of Patriots fans still don't like Rodney Harrison because he wasn't able to strip the ball away from Tyree. Mind you, David Tyree never did anything else. He went to the Ravens for a little while and was their number 6 wide receiver. So good for you, David Tyree. But do you know what the most annoying thing is about all this? Not that the Patriots lost. Well, I can deal with the Patriots loss. It's that Eli Manning is going to be a Hall of Famer. And I just can't believe it. Yeah. I cannot believe that Eli Manning is going to end up being a Hall of Famer.
You win a couple Super Bowls, that's how you do it.
I don't.
So you're saying that this game was your favorite Super Bowl memory?
No, this is not my favorite Super Bowl. My favorite Super Bowl memory will forever be Malcolm Butler picking off Russell Wilson and the game. Even though I love Russell Wilson, I'll never forget the euphoria of that moment.
All right, folks, let's take you through the top Super Bowls of the 2000s. Number 10 was Super Bowl XLII. The Giants beating the Patriots 21-17. Number 9 was Super Bowl 44. The Saints beating the Colts. 8 was Super Bowl 47, the Ravens holding on against the 49ers. Number 7 was Super Bowl 49, the Patriots and the Seahawks when they didn't give the ball to Marshawn Lynch. Number 6, Super Bowl 38, Patriots and the Panthers, as Harris said, often a forgotten great. At number 5 was Super Bowl 34, what we started the 2000s with, the Rams beating the Titans when Kevin Eisen was just short of the goal line.
So close.
Number 4, Super Bowl 43, Steelers Cardinals and the great Santonio Holmes touchdown catch. Number 3, Super Bowl 36, Patriots, Rams, really the kind of introductory to one, Tom Brady.
Oh, yeah.
Number 2 was last year, Patriots, Falcons, 28-3, the blown lead by Atlanta. And then number 1, the Giants stunning the undefeated Patriots in Super Bowl 42. All right, folks, once again, I'm Tom Downey. A reminder that today's show is brought to you by the Game Time app. If you need last-minute sports or concert tickets, you got to get the Game Time app at chatsports.com/tickets, the best app out there for tickets.
It's not even close. You want to go to basketball games, you want to go to baseball games when the season starts, even hockey games to the hockey fans out there like you, Tom, the Dallas Stars game. Use the Game Time app, chatsports.com/tickets. It's so easy. All
right, folks, once again, that is Harris Rubenstein. I am Tom Downey. If you guys missed anything, don't worry. We'll play the show over here for you in just a little bit. Rumors, some draft talk, and, of course, those Super Bowl memories all coming up here in just a little bit. So don't go anywhere. But that does it for us. You guys stay classy out there.